Are you going to that camp?
Yeah, I am.
You are?
Are you going? You are
It's
now.
$80.
I know. I already paid for it, but it's
How
gonna be
much
like
does it cost?
$80.
It's crap. Where is it? When is it?
March next.
It
weekend.
is?
Yeah.
Next weekend, I think. Yeah.
Sign-ups are still open. You can go on my.
You
go
can
on my
sign
story,
up
my
until the
Instagram
day
story, and You
before.
can sign up right there.
Does it cost more money?
March
Hashtag
21st. I don't
at
think so.
Alex Purrington on Instagram.
Wait, do you get like a
And you don't have
kickback?
to go. You
No.
can go like that far away.
wish
So I
you
think
did.
we're good. We'll just stay. Aaron,
Ed,
will probably
welcome.
be like someone close.
Justin
All right, here we
Powell to
guys
the stage.
Go, yeah. Whenever you're ready.
How did this go?
Guys, I want to introduce you to our guest here today. I'm excited for this podcast. It's going to be amazing. We're currently in his HQ. It's a church that was built in the early 1900s, I believe. He is the CEO of Huntington Outdoor Billboards. He has Atlas Institute, which takes some young entrepreneur men just around with him just to learn the business. Can't wait to have him on. He's ready to go. I want to welcome you, Justin Powell. Come on in right here. Thanks for coming. Yes, thank you.
Good to be here.
Yeah, excited. And the mic's right there.
Want me to just hold it up here? Or just
Yeah,
set right there?
it should be able to just a little bit closer to
A little
your
bit
mouth,
closer.
So maybe
All
you
right,
can
there-
sit back. You can sit back.
Oh,
There
all
you go.
right.
Move it
I
forward.
love it.
There you go.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for having us. It's been, when did we get here? Like 5
Yeah,
o'clock,
5 o'clock,
give or take?
Yeah.
5:05 on the dot.
Yeah, it's been like 3.5 hours. That went by so fast.
You got some of the
Flew by.
Dark County experience.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, 100%.
Call it God's country. You know, we did a little shooting, a little clay shooting. Cooked some steaks over the grills.
Yeah,
it's-
ate them with our hands.
That's right.
That was-
T-bone
that
steaks,
epic.
by the way. T-bone
Apparently,
steaks.
there's no forks in heaven.
Yeah. Well, we came across you. You came to Cedarville University. You were a distinguished speaker. Gave probably one of the most unique speeches I've ever been.
In a good way.
I've
not
ever
not
witnessed.
great,
That
not
was
good,
good.
not amazing, unique. I like that. Okay,
I
I'll take
personally
that.
said the most entertaining.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
well,
was
My
very
attention
entertaining.
well.
I have a rule when it comes to speaking. It's the cardinal sin of speaking is you cannot be boring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and the reason is because people can go on YouTube, people can go on Facebook, people can go on podcasts just like this,
Yeah.
and they can get whatever information they want. So if you come into somebody's home, aka into their college, and you are boring, you've done the double disservice of basically forcing them to watch you, one,
Yeah.
and then two, be super boring so they never remember.
Yeah.
It's awful. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like if I can be interesting
Yeah.
as well as kind of help teach some things and
Yeah.
kind of pull some things out, then it's like, well, A, you watched, and B, hopefully you'll learn something.
Yeah, and
so
you
that's
put
my goal.
you put pressure on people too. Like you were like at random, you'd pick someone. It's like, tell me about what I was just talking about, or answer a question.
I want everyone to be in the kind of state of continual vigilance and
Yeah.
fear that I may call them out, because then they'll pay attention.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
exactly.
I think it's
I
also
paid
different because you came to the entrepreneurship meeting as well and like met with us. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't able to go to the speech part, but
Yeah.
I was able to go to like the more Q&A type.
What a great
type
group.
action.
I mean, there there was like 15 people there
15 people,
afterwards, and you guys are all trying to figure out how, what kind of business you guys are going to start, and
Yeah.
how to start businesses successfully and everything else. I love it. I went to Cedarville when I was there. They didn't have anything like that. And so it's huge. It's just absolutely huge that Cedarville has done something like that, and all you guys are kind of like taking advantage of it. So well done. Well done. And I had a good time. Yeah. Pizza and lots of questions, everything else. It was good.
That's awesome. Well, we're here in Ohio, out in the cornfield area. What inspired you to be here? Like, let's give them a little bit of context just about how you came to where you are now.
Yeah.
We don't have to go too in depth because you just had a podcast recently. We listened to it on the way up here. Just tell the people a little bit about how you came to be here.
Great question. I want to talk about place.
Place?
That's what I want
Yeah.
to talk about. I want to talk about place. For too long, I think society, culture, U.S. culture broadly has basically been like, you can move anywhere. You can do anything you want, right?
Yeah.
You can go anywhere you want. And I think what that does is it dislocates us. It pulls us out of community and puts us in a place where we have no accountability, right? Where we have no kind of history with people. And so I was born here. I choose to stay here, right? This is where God had me be born into a great family. However, every single day I choose to be here. And I choose to be here because everywhere I go, right, I'm Justin, and I have Billboards, and I do Atlas and Forge and numerous organizations. But here, I am Justin. Here, people know me from back when I was a kid, right? They appreciate me for who I am. And I know no matter what happens in life, here, people know me and care about me for me. Now, having said that, there's responsibilities that come with that too, right? Because they know you, because they know who you are, because they know your reputation, right? They're going to keep you accountable to that. And I think that's important. I think it's important to have a place that you pour into and that pours into you and that holds you accountable to who you are and what your relationship with Christ is and how you have kind of portrayed yourself and how you're going to live.
Yeah.
Most people, and that's why, okay, this may be a little bit controversial, so hold on to your hat.
Go for it. We like controversy.
I personally think cities are, corrode community and corrode conservative values.
Okay.
They don't have to, you know. Certainly, there's elements of cities where if you get involved in a really strong church, it kind of offsets kind of the corrosive effects. But at the end of the day, you look at a city and you're like, well, guess what? You know why cities are so liberal and have such large governments? The reason is because people are just rubbing up against each other all the time, right?
And not the community aspect.
And there's no
either.
community. There's no relationship. So it comes down to law. It comes down to, it's like, how do we fix our problems? Well, it's not me and you going, hey, buddy, you've known me forever. I didn't mean to, knock over your garbage cans or, put the fence on the wrong side of, the property, wherever. You know that. And I know that. Okay, we'll work it out together, right? Instead, it comes down to lawyers and bullets.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no relationship by which to kind of like figure things out. And that's what happens. So what happens is government has to step in. And there has to be way more laws, way more governance, and way more police and on and on and on. And you see the breakdown. People are moving in, moving out, and there's no relationship, very little relationship.
Yeah.
And so, it makes people lonely. And not only that, but also, you can look at like nobody owns anything in cities.
Yeah.
It's all rented, right? Homeownership is like a surefire way to like increase responsibility and people's ability to think and make decisions for themselves. I call it agency. Agency is so important. We want agency. We want people who have agency over their lives, where they live, how they choose to live, what they do with their time, enough money to be able to go make decisions, right?
Yep.
You don't have a lot of agency in the city. You're kind of like controlled by outside forces.
Yep.
Here in the country, lots of agency. And I think it's a wonderful place to live. I think it's a wonderful place to have a family.
I just want to add something there. So we got here, and then we hopped in your truck, went down to your house a few miles away down the same road.
Yeah.
You pointed out, there's my parents' house. That's where my brother lives. My sister's over there.
Yeah.
They're my neighbors. I know them. And then we shot some clay pigeons, came back,
Out
visited.
the backyard.
Out the backyard.
Just
Yep.
shoot it
Right
out
into
the
the
backyard.
backyard.
Just shooting out
Yeah.
the backyard.
And then visited your dad, and then came back to the house, had people come over while we were grilling steaks. Like, that's community.
That's right.
And you can't find
That's
that in
right.
cities. I
That's
totally
right.
agree.
That's right. And the thing is, my neighbor Alex stopped over with his little kid.
Yep.
Right? And it's like, Alex knows Justin's going to be here, somebody's going to be here, and we can hang out, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that that's happening, right? I know that accountability is going to happen, and I'm going to have people stop by.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's wonderful. That's beautiful community, right? That's a level of relationship that goes, yeah, Justin's gonna be there hanging with some guys he's mentoring or hanging with people from business, and you're 100% right. It's just like, yeah, come on over, you're always welcome, right? And that's how I want to live, and that's kind of the way that Dark County allows me to live. It's just, yeah, you guys know where I'll be.
Yeah.
I'll be a foundation here, and you can come and you can play pool, you can hang out, and I'll be here. If I'm not traveling or going on adventures,
Yeah.
this is where I'll be. Come hang out, and like
Yeah.
I told, and I'll say I commend all of you guys because I was at Cedarville and I spoke to 500-600 people.
500-600 kids, yeah.
or so. And what did I say at the very end? I said, listen to me. I said I have 3 asks, right? Follow me on social media. Feel free to reach out, apply for Atlas. And my third one was like, come and visit me in Dark County,
Yeah.
right? Like you can come. I'll serve dinner. You can come visit my sister who's a state representative. You guys come visit, and you guys are the only ones to take me up on that. Like it's amazing.
really?
I mean, yeah, 100%.
Wow.
No one else is taking me up on it.
Okay.
Nobody. So the fact that you guys did, like, to me, it's just like, it's amazing because it's like, it means you guys are the type of people who are going to take advantage.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to take advantage of opportunities given to you. And I commend you for that. It's amazing.
Yeah,
And
and
it put you so far ahead of it.
Shout out to Isaac. I mean, he and I communicated for a while, trying to get it sorted, trying to find the dates. Because,
yeah.
I mean, to get out here on college schedules with
Oh, yeah.
track
Oh, yeah.
athlete,
Oh,
all
yeah.
doing
Oh, yeah.
classes.
I don't blame
getting
the
us
people.
there.
I
It
don't
was
blame the people
amazing.
that did make it,
Yeah.
or whatever. But like, I just commend you guys
Yeah.
for taking the initiative and coming
Figuring
out. It's
it
been
out.
amazing.
So, yeah. And it was an awesome time to be out here.
Beautiful day.
Loved it. Beautiful, great time. Yeah.
So talking about adventures, you recently went on a new adventure. You were talking about it a little bit at the speech. you went, was it a ballet type thing? What, or what was, I forget what it was exactly. You were dressed up pretty nice.
Oh
Tux.
gosh. Okay.
tux.
Yeah.
the tux.
Well, I'm gonna have to briefly tell another story to tell this one. Otherwise, everybody will get the wrong idea. So I am. Last year was like my year of like adventure.
Yeah.
So I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I was on the mountain for like 8 days, and we're up there. There's like no oxygen, and then we ran with the bulls in Spain, and all this kind of stuff, and risked my life multiple times. So I got off the mountain in Kilimanjaro, and I must have been like I just must have been feeling just this sense of like I'm ready for a little different adventure.
Yeah.
I had eaten like very thin soup and like slept outside and not showered for 8 days and stuff. And I came down like, okay, what am I gonna do next year? So I come down in March of last year. I was like, you know what? There's this thing called ball season in Vienna, the Viennese ball season. Okay, and there's like over the course of like a month, there's 400 different balls across the country.
My word. Wow.
And the kind of the peak of ball season in their country. And like, I can't even, there's like nothing in the United States that I can like compare it to. Because it's a very, very unique thing to Austria.
Austria, okay.
And so the peak of ball season is in like every single one they do the waltz. So the whole country in school, when they're going through grade school and high school, they learn the waltz. That's what they do. So the Viennese waltz, very, very famous, very hard. And so I was like, all right, so what's it gonna take for me to like be able to go? And so at the peak of ball season is the Vienna Opera Ball, and it is the equivalent of it's the European equivalent of the Met Gala.
Okay.
Like that would be similar to what it is. And so I was like, how do I get tickets? And so I worked some angles. I figured out some different things, and I was like, I had some people over there I knew, and I found a couple tickets, and then I got a couple other tickets to like 2 other balls, and so I went for a week, and I went to 3 different balls, and it is one of the most unique experiences I've ever. I mean, very different than climbing a mountain,
Yeah.
but no less hard. I mean, it was so I went. I signed up, and I was at one of like the top dance schools of Vienna, and we went and did dancing lessons to figure out how to do this. It is so difficult, and then we went to the balls, and the ball starts at each of the balls starts at about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and then there's a big kind of opening performance, and the all of the different dancers come in, and it's one of the most unique, most ornate things I've ever seen, and that lasts about 2 hours. And there's celebrities there, and you walk the red carpet and everything else, and then you're there till 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock.
You stay the whole time?
That's like 9 hours.
It's 9 hours.
Do you stay?
Yeah, stay
The whole time?
Yeah, well, it's
the
crazy.
experience.
All 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah. So like I was like the whole week was just like messed up because my schedule was all over the place. But like you get there and they have the debutantes, which are like kind of like it's the 20, 25-ish year old leading kind of families, their children and boys and girls. They come out and they have this huge, enormous like choreographed dance. And that lasts for an hour, and then they have some performances by famous artists that come out. That lasts for an hour. So then that starts at 10. So you're at midnight, and then they have the quadrille, and that is like you get out there, and they have a certain like dance that they do, and that lasts from midnight till 1. Okay, and then the entire building, and one of them is in the opera. One of them was in the opera, very very famous Vienna opera, and then the other one was in the Schönbrunn Palace, which is big palace. Wow. And so there's like each of them has 10 different dance kind of floors, and everybody's doing different kinds of dance.
Like each floor has a different dance that they're doing?
Each floor has a different type of dance. And so there's like live music on every single one. So you basically go from one to the other the entire evening or entire night. Wow. And you look up and you're like, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. What happened the entire night?
Do you eat?
3,000 or 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Do you eat it all?
Yeah.
Like you got electrolytes on the side you're just grabbing?
Yeah.
Like you're sweating?
It's
Like,
I mean,
come
like,
on.
you have to understand these buildings are enormous.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And so like it is one of the coolest things because there's these beautiful cafes where you sit and you drink some tea and you drink some coffee and then you have
more dehydrated.
They do sausages. Yeah, exactly. They do sausages. So like they're very famous, like Viennese sausage. I guess. So that's all they served everywhere. So yeah, so you would stop and you'd eat a little bit and then you'd go dance some and then you'd walk around and it's just it was very, very unique. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. So
Sounds awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome.
it was super unique. So yeah, so that was the adventure, and I was gone for a little over a week, and it was unique. I will say I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I may take my little sister, but don't tell her that. She's like 12, 13 right now.
Ooh, okay.
And when she turns 16, I would love to surprise her.
Well, you might have to keep this podcast hidden from her.
100%.
then.
She's not a
3
big
more
podcast
years.
listener.
Not a big podcast
Fortunately, she
person.
doesn't have her own, smartphone. So
Yeah.
we'll just
For sure.
keep going.
Well,
awesome.
so you're able to do these adventures, like being a CEO. How have you set up your life in a way where you're able to do that? You've talked about how, like, you had some set guidelines of what you wanted whenever you were going to work in your job.
Yep.
How have you been able to allow yourself to do these things and go on these adventures?
Yeah.
To add to that real quick, the systems you've put in place.
Yes.
Because to be able to go travel for a week as a CEO, I'm assuming that's pretty challenging, unless there's systems. So just curious about that as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna start out with this. So you have to be very careful what type of business you start. And that matters a lot. Like, it matters a lot, because if you get the start wrong, you're going to be in trouble the rest. You almost can't come back from that. So that's where I think it's really important to really think about the future life that you want to have. Okay, what kind of future do you want to have? What do you want your life to look like? And then once you kind of have that down, then you start going, does the business allow for that type of lifestyle? Okay. So I mean, if you have a restaurant, right? Unless you kind of hit the lottery and really set it up super, super well, it is very, very, very difficult to have a restaurant or a series of restaurants that you're not involved in every single day. Now, why? Why is that? It's because it's very easy for things that are highly complicated, like a restaurant, to go off the rails. It's very easy for that to happen, right? Billboards. Think about a billboard. That's what I do. I'm in the billboard industry. I started billboards because I'm like, if I left for a week and everything went to crap, would my billboards fall apart? No, they really wouldn't fall apart. They're just signs, So it's like, you can go for a long time. There's not much complication in billboards. They're just gonna stay there, right? Yeah. If you have like single family homes, it's probably better than a restaurant, but worse than billboards. Why? Well, because people are living in them, right?
People's involved.
The plumbing had a problem, and they needed to call you, and you weren't there, and then their bathroom overflowed and everything else, right? So it's like, you have to think about that. What do you want your future life to look like, and then kind of reverse engineer what kind of business would fit that lifestyle. Does that make sense? Yeah. And look, not everybody wants the lifestyle I wanted, and so not everybody should pick billboards.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you're gonna look at the end and then work your way backwards. And then when it comes to like running a billboard business, when it comes to like owning a billboard business, you have to think about what systems you're going to put in place to be able to accomplish the things you're going to do. Yeah. And most things in life are systematic. You can systematize, right? It's like we have this set of activities we do. And so this is the same set of activities we do every single time. And as a result, we're going to be like, all right, here's the steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And the more systematized things are, the easier it is for team members, for people that work with you to do them. Same for me, right? It's just, I used to wear, and I think I told you this at Cedar Valley, I can't remember. I went on a college tour and I spoke at like 10 different colleges and stuff. And it was wonderful, but I can never remember what I told anybody. But I had a system when I was like really, really, really into business. Like I was working like 20 hours a day trying to get this thing off the ground. And it cost me. The first 5-10 years of my business cost me a lot because it was just so crazy busy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, look, I don't have time to make lots of decisions. So like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And so what I did is I went out and I bought 20 white button-up shirts and 20 black white shirts. And they were black shirts, like button-up shirts. And they were the exact same. Both of them were exactly the same. And I had 3 coats. I had 4 pair of the same shoes and 3 pair of the same jeans. And I knew that I could go an entire month without having to do laundry. And I never had to decide what I was going to wear. The only decision was black or white. That's it.
Black or white.
Black or white. That's it. That was it. And I knew that outfit would get me almost anywhere. Mm-hmm. I could go meet with a farmer and he'd go, okay. He would be like, he's not too much of a city slicker. He's wearing jeans. Or I could go in, to a business guy and he's like, okay, it's respectable. It could fit both.
Versatility, yeah.
Yeah, it could fit both. And so like systems are things that help you not have to think as much, right? Their systems are things that you can hand over to people like, hey, this is the rails. Stay on these rails. And it makes it easier for them, makes it easier for you. So that you have to think about that in your life. And for you guys, look, I mean, you guys are doing the same things, right? Pretty much every week. So you should have a system for everything. You should figure out how much time it's going to cost you, how much time each class is going to cost you. You should do that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right? You should like go talk to people who took that class before and be like, hey, tell me what's required.
Yep.
Right? And then you're like, well, he or she professor-wise, requires 6 papers and they're 2 pages each. And then you think in your mind, how long does it take me to write a paper? And you just figure out, you can just add up how much time it's going to take you, right? And then a system for how you can maybe make that quicker, right? It's a beautiful thing. Systems are wonderful.
Question on that. So we hinted at a guy by the name of Isaac earlier.
Yes.
And Isaac's your assistant.
Yes.
So in a way that assistant is kind of like a system. So how did you go about hiring Isaac? Because he traveled to Kilimanjaro with you.
Yes.
He ran with the bulls with you.
No, he didn't go to Kilimanjaro. He went
Sorry.
to run it with the bulls.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So how do you hire somebody like that? Like, what's your process? Because that's crazy. And he's so nice. He's so nice.
Yeah. So he didn't work for me when we were running with the
Okay,
bulls, to be
okay,
fair.
okay.
To be fair.
Just-
He went with me to Guatemala and we climbed Fuego, which is a volcano and that sort of thing. And he's welcome to do that or not do that if he so chooses. But Isaac, I've known Isaac from Forge, another organization I started, and him and I got to know each other for several years beforehand, and I just appreciated Isaac. And Isaac looked at me and Isaac said, listen, Justin, my goal in life is to mentor and train young men. That's his goal. He's like, I just feel like I want to be a teacher. I want to be a professor. And so for me, I'm like, I've got this program called Atlas. Maybe you should come see it. So last summer he came and saw it, right? Last year was the first year of Atlas. And Isaac looks at it and goes, there's potential here. And so then I started lobbying, right? I started lobbying. I'm like, Isaac, maybe you should, spend a year, just help him with Atlas and be my executive assistant and basically run my life. So if I'm the CEO of Huntington, Isaac's the CEO of me, right? Isaac just runs my life and he just puts things in front of me and goes, what do you think? I'm like, yes, great. No, maybe, it's great. It extends my talent, ability, reach, right?
Yeah.
Without me having to work another 10 hours. Yeah. So Isaac, I have never had an executive assistant until this year. And Isaac had never been an executive assistant until this year. So it's been an adventure for us to kind of create the systems, right? I'm much more geared to just being like, here you go, you do it, as opposed to like, hey, come help me with it and we'll do it together. Isaac's been really, really good at sticking with me and being like, all right, let's figure this out. So for instance, for Atlas, we had a lot of Atlas applications, tons. We're accepting 8 students. We had tons of Atlas applications. Yeah. Isaac was the one who kind of ran that system. So he would take in the applications, he'd read through them, he'd organize them, print them off, stick it on my desk. He did the first round of interviews, basically was able to remove some of the students who weren't going to make it, right? Some of the applicants who weren't going to make it. And then he set up the second round of interviews with me, right? Yeah. And then I had 15 minutes with each of them. And he set up the third set of interviews with a community board, right? To, that they're going to ask another set of questions. Isaac's really good at that. He kind of takes that, otherwise I'd have to do that all. Yeah. Isaac just took that. And then today we sat down and him and I, we talked through all the students for the last month and a half. And then today we sat down and we were like, these are for sure yeses. Yeah. And then we got down to those last 4 or 5 and it was like, all right. And we, both of us had read read their applications and interviewed them and read the notes from interviews and all this kind of stuff. And so that's how it is. So Isaac is just really good at helping extend myself, extend what I'm capable of doing. And honestly, he's able to do. Like him and I together are a great team. And so, we'll see what happens with that with Isaac. I have a bad habit of grabbing people and be like, hey, so maybe you could run this, So we'll see what happens. I want Isaac to do whatever he wants to do, but I got him for another 5 or 6 months through the summer, and then we'll see what happens after that. But
I mean, speaking of Atlas, do we want to bring Ben on?
Yeah, Ben.
Talk about the process.
Yeah. So come on,
Ben.
Ben.
Bob, thank you for the question, Aaron, about it.
Yeah.
I think bring it. Cooper, you want to hop
got the
on as well?
transition, don't worry.
Let's do it. Come on. Yeah. So we got, this was Alex. You guys saw him on the podcast before. We also had Aaron Perry. He was, I don't even remember what episode. He does ultralight hats, running hats. He does ultra marathons. Just exciting stuff. But here we have Ben Ormsby.
Yep.
Welcome on. Thank you for
Thanks
being
for having me.
First time. And then we have a former guest as well. We got Cooper Peterson, not ultralight running, run gloves. He's running, guys. I don't run, but I'm trying to. But yeah, so Atlas.
Yep.
Let's talk. So this is like crazy timing. Today has been a little crazy, the past 4 hours.
Yeah.
let's talk about what happened we had class,
Yep.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
What happened from then until we got in the truck?
Yeah, so basically, I go to class at 3 o'clock, and I had so there's 3 rounds of Atlas interviews, and I had my third one on Saturday with the community members. It was an engineer, a business owner, and a pastor. And so I finished that, and I was like, there was another one Monday, so I was like, all right, I'll hear back. I'll hear back probably, Tuesday, Monday night, Tuesday, something like that. And so, I was waiting, and then, I just put it in the Lord's hands. And so Wednesday, I'm going about my day. I had a busy day today, so I wasn't really thinking about it too much. And then I go to class, and Dr. Oberbrunner's like, hey, how'd your interviews go? I was like, yeah, I finished the third one last Saturday. He's like, hey, I want to talk to you. And so
Someone pull you aside.
Yeah, so he pulled me aside after class. He's like, hey, like Justin called me over the weekend, and he was asking me like, hey, is Ben good? And he was like, yeah. He's like, Dr. Oberbrunner was like, yeah, Ben's good. Pretty much.
Ben's good.
Slipped him a 20.
Something like that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There was no
The other
bribery.
guys are like,
There was no
come
bribery.
No, and so then when I had the conversation, I didn't know that I made it in, but I looked. So we went with Will and Alex. We went back to the dorms, and I went back to my dorm waiting for them to pick me up. And I was just scrolling through my phone, and I see a email from Isaac Wines, Justin's assistant, and it says, "Congratulations, you've been accepted." So, and then
That's
I
amazing.
hopped in the truck and
He just told us. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
So wow, that is good timing. So the question I have is, did you read the letter?
I was skimming it. The funny thing is I was reading it, and I'm pretty sure Will texted me, and then I didn't see the first text, and then I just saw it said Will Woods emphasized here.
We were sitting there for like 2 minutes. We were like, Ben.
Yeah, and so I still need to finish reading it, but I think it should work out.
So the letter, like all along through the process, we are doing everything we can to try to get students to back out themselves.
Okay.
So like it's like a 2 or 3 page letter, and it's like
You're not in yet.
just to
Yeah.
just to let you know. Well, yeah, you're welcome. You haven't accepted yet. So
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'll try to convince you not to, but it's like just to let you know, like the housing is cramped
Yeah.
because we fit 8 guys into a 6-person house.
Yeah.
The work hours are ridiculously long. You'll have no personal time.
Yeah.
Like you probably will be up multiple nights all night long as we travel and like all this because it's like that. Do you know who Sir Ernest Shackleton is?
I do not. No.
Okay, so he was like one of the first expeditions to like the South North Pole, one of those.
Yeah.
And like he put out, it was like back in the 1800s,
Okay.
and he put out this like to get people to come. It was like just a small like 1-inch like wanted ad in the newspaper, and it was like basically it was like wanted like strong men willing to take on incredible odds. Very likely to fail, no terrible food, all this kind of stuff. Like lists all this out. And it's like, on the off chance that we barely succeed, fame and glory will be yours, right? And that's kind of my like thing with Atlas is like, look, I am looking for men who are Christians, who love the Lord, who have good character, right? That's like number one. You have to have those things to even apply. And then, but 2, it's like I want men who are going to go and start companies. Right, and who are going to work hard and kind of have that tenacity and that just like I'm going to do whatever it takes to create it, right? And so that's what we're looking for. And so we had tons of applicants, and super excited to extend an invitation to this guy. And it's going to be an unbelievable summer. We got 12 weeks in front of us, and it will be insane.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like my job is I want to help you see what you're capable of, and to do that, I want to push you right to the edge. So it's like each student is going to be pushed in different directions and kind of be shifted and everything else. And I know each student super well. I have a friend and mentor of mine is Mark Dever. He's a pastor in DC, and he has this thing where when he wants to talk to a guy, he's like, oh, let's go for a walk around the block, and he takes him walk and he'll listen to him and then he'll give some advice or whatever. It's just kind of informal. And so for us out here though, a block is they call him a country mile. So literally you walk 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile. So it's 4 miles. So I don't do that. I don't have that opportunity. What I do is I have a 1976 Corvette. And I'm like, and I'll drive up. And I'll be like, get in. And we'll go for a drive around. And we'll
Ben's
talk.
like, yes.
Yes, I love this idea.
Yeah.
But it's like, look, I know each of the students really well.
Yeah.
I've already spent hours on each one looking at, looking at their application, talking to them, reading the transcripts from the other, interviews and everything else. And, that last one's the community one. Those are the neighbors. Like, these are the neighbors who are also going to pour into them, right?
Yeah.
And they have unique skills and abilities. And they're the ones who are going to be here, and they're going to invest too. And there's a whole group of people who kind of come around the guys and invest in them this summer. And so, so thank you for going through the process.
Yeah, no problem.
The few and the brave, who made
Yeah.
it through the entire process.
Yeah.
So, well done.
I think, having that community, like, you don't think about it. Whenever you were giving the pitch at Cedarville about Atlas, you didn't even really mention, or I don't remember the community aspect of it. And now being here, that's huge. Because even me, like, with my family and how we're kind of in, like, this compound community life where we're all together, like, you have a few more siblings than my parents did. So it's like they're just walking up to the house and you're just hanging out. Like, it's amazing.
My goal is I want guys to see what we've done business-wise, and that's part of it. But then on top of that, I want them to see the community we've created. I want them to see the relationships we've forged here, right? For good or for better, for good or worse, right? It's like some of those, some of the things that the guys will get from me will be like, I just don't want to do it that way. I just don't want to do it Justin's way. It's like, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But other things, it's like, I see a vision here. I see kind of an image of what Justin and what Atlas and Forge and all the community members, what they're starting to create, what they're starting to build, right? And it's like, I want you and your other 7 Atlas students this summer to be like, I want to do that. I want to go back to my community and I want to be the oak tree planted there so that people know that, like, yes, this is someone and something, and they're creating things that are going to last for a long time, and they can pass on to their kids and everything else. And so for me, Atlas is all about investment. That's what I am. I'm an investor, right? Yeah. I'm a businessman who invests. And Atlas is an investment, but it's an investment in the kingdom, right? When I invest money, my resources into things, it's like I want a certain amount of return. When I look at Atlas and I look at the guys in Atlas, I think I can put a certain amount of money and time and energy and effort and expertise into godly young men. And those young men can then go out for the next 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
And my return on them will be compounded every single year as the things they grow, the people they care about, and the relationships and communities that they change start to flourish and grow, right? That's my goal. And so to me, it's like, it's arbitrage. It's an investment that the Bible talks about, some things you plan will bring back, 10-fold and 50-fold and 100-fold. Atlas is my 100-fold, right? It's my long-term, my moonshot investments.
I love the fact that, like, you're a builder, you're an investor. I feel like in Christian culture today, there's often this consumeristic mentality where you just kind of go to church and, pay your tithe, and that's kind of enough.
Yeah.
But I love, like, what you're doing is you're taking that next step. And you're saying, I'm going to make a huge impact right here where I am. One of podcasters that I've really enjoyed listening to, he says all the time, bloom where you're planted.
Yes.
And so I just appreciate what you're doing.
That's beautiful. Isaac and I talk about a lot about these things. And it's fascinating because I think there's a discouragement that comes about from young men, young women, everybody. Because you can go on YouTube, you can go on Instagram, you can go on TikTok, you can go on all these things, and you see people that are doing things better than you'll ever be able to do. It's like, gosh, that guy is growing a business faster than I'll ever be able to grow a business. That guy is growing a church. That guy speaks better than I'll be able to speak. That guy's podcast is bigger, on and on and on, right? To me, do you know what I think the fix is for that and the solution is for that and how to kind of like switch your mind around for that? Because it's discouraging. I would think it'd be discouraging. It's like, oh gosh, I'll never be as good as influence. So it's like, you don't have to be. You don't have to be the best thing. To me, when I started Atlas, I'm sitting there going, do I have anything to offer? I'm serious. I'm like sitting there going, gosh, this is going to be rough. I don't, there's so many better people out there, so many better business people, bigger companies, all this kind of stuff. It's like, you know what? That's okay. I am the best at this thing I do in this area, right? I'm just bringing it back and being like, look, I might not be the best in the world. I might not be the best in the United States or even Ohio, but like God has planted me in this place. Yeah. So I may be the best one to care for my neighbor and care for, my friend's son to be able to come and teach him, right? I might be the best person to teach him because I'm close. I'm local, right? I'm here. I'm the best in this spot, right? And that's what localism and that's what place does for you. It allows you to kind of like build things and create things and being like, look, like right? I might not be the best business person in the world, but you know what? I'm one of the better business people in Dark County, or maybe even in Gordon. It's small. So it's like, well, what can I do? I can pass that. I can pass it all on to the little people that, the small businesses and the students and everything else that are right here, right? And I think that's encouraging. That helps encourage people.
Yeah.
And I think, and I hopefully encourage you guys, like, look, like yes, bloom where you're planted, but what that means is start growing where you're planted. It means start going, this is mine, right? This right here, this is mine. And I will build here, and I will grow here, and I will protect here. Mm-hmm. These people are mine, right? I think that's cool. I think that's important. And I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys would be able to speak. That's a call that, like, hopefully you guys are encouraged by. Do you feel that within you?
Like
Kinda
one pastor I listened to, I don't know if it was a specific pastor or just a mentor. They talked about, you don't have to change the world. What if there was a bunch of people who changed their area?
100%.
Because, like you're saying, it's a compound effect.
Yeah.
And maybe you're 100-fold. So if all these guys go and affect their little areas,
Oh, yeah.
you are affecting the world. Because
100%.
if every little pocket is made better, just like with international missions, like I think it's good to go out and experience it. Like you're taking guys to other countries to experience different things. But that's more just to give you a perspective to go back and fix what's broken back at home.
100%.
Talking like the Bible talks about pastors, like if they can't take care of their own household, how can they take care of a church?
Well said.
It's the same thing here. If you're taking care of your household, your home, your community, and then now you're branching out. You're going through Atlas. You've talked to different schools, and just starting here. It's like working on yourself. Like take the plank out of your own eye before you take it out of your brother's eye.
That's right.
I think it's the same exact principle.
That's super well said. Yep.
What would you say to a bunch of 20-year-old guys who want to invest in their area when they go home from college, or maybe not in college? What are like the practices, what are the principles that they can start working on, even if they haven't achieved a level of a large level of success already? What can they do to start implementing and growing and building in their community?
It's easy. It's not easy. It's not complicated. It's hard. It's not complicated. It's just very difficult, and most people won't ever do it. Like, they'll never do it. So there's three things you need. There's three things you need to build anything, to grow anything, to develop anything, to be influential, right? And those three things are money, right? And so you need money. That's one, right? But then it's also knowledge. Right? What kind of knowledge are you developing? And then third is networks. Those are the three things. You can build and grow anything with those three things. Okay? So what I always do is I look at building platforms. Okay? Because a lot of times it's like, look, I want to become governor of Ohio. Not me, but like I want to become, I do Forge, so I hear this a lot. I want to become congressman or whatever else. Yeah. A lot of goals are difficult because they're not easily achievable without someone else doing something. So they're not completely within your hands, if that makes sense. So it's like, if you want to be congressman, well, that's wonderful, but like, if that's your only goal, guess what? Your congressman may never leave. Yeah. During your entire life, there may be one congressman, and it's really hard to run against a sitting congressman. It's almost impossible, right? So what I always tell people is like, look, start developing platforms around that so that if that ever happens, great, but they're goods in and of themselves, right? So you need to go back. Young men in their 20s need to go back to their community and start going, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want to build, right? Start getting that in their minds, okay? And then it's like, all right, what are the things I need to do to create? What do I need to create to be able to accomplish that thing, right? So it's like, young men who like want to start businesses, right? It's like, okay, first off, you need to be disciplined. You just got to be disciplined. So that means exercising. That means how you spend your money. That means, all your personal life, your addictions, you get rid of those, right? Anything that's going to encumber you, get rid of, throw that off, right? And it's like, well, okay, so you need money, okay? So how are you going to either raise money, or how are you going to save money, or how are you going to get money? So you start thinking through that. So it's like, I create a network of people who can give me money, right? Investors, if you will, right? And then you start going, all right, what kind of business do I want to start? Once you kind of hone in on that, you start, you go wide, and then you kind of go, based upon my life, this is the kind of thing I want. Then you start developing knowledge to be able to accomplish that, right? And those three things, knowledge and network and money, start playing together, right? And you develop each of these you develop out, and you go, I'm creating these networks for this knowledge, and and to be in this network to be able to build this business, right? And that's what you should start to do. And it's like, and it's with anything. It's Atlas. Same with Atlas, right? Last Friday I went to a business in northern Ohio, and it's a large company, and I'm super excited. They're Christian business owners, big company, and they're like, we would love to have your Atlas guys come, because they do a dealer network, and like each dealer is their own company, and they're like begging for people to come start businesses under them. Very profitable businesses. But like they're looking for guys who are hardworking, who love the Lord, and who they can teach start companies. It's like, for me, I'm like, great, that's a great connection. So I went and networked with that, right? Networked with that to be able, and now we got this network of guys to go with them, and we put those together, and boom, all of a sudden, I got the money from other things to be able to fund this, and now it's like, boom, great, we got a network, right? We got an Atlas organization that creates value for all involved, right? Yeah. So I start thinking, like, how, for each of the different organizations, I start thinking about what are the pieces I need of these three resources? What do I need? And then how do I get them? And how do I make them bigger and broaden them out so that I can do it, right? And then the beautiful part is, once you kind of figure that out with different things, you start taking from this and going, I can use this resource I have from my company, aka money that I earned, to be able to create this. And it becomes easier. Every new thing you create becomes easier because you already have a network, you already have money, and you already have some knowledge. And so you take some of those things, and now you're not starting from ground zero, and you create the next thing, right? That's the beautiful part. Atlas was so much easier because we created Forge, right? Forge is $1 million organization. We have students and everything else all over the place. It's like we grew that over the last 10 years. It's a lot easier to create Atlas because I have the experience of Forge, experience and network, on and on and on. And I've used them from both, and just back and forth. That's what I would say. I would say start small, start collecting those three things, and then start building. And it's just like, it will be small. I started with one billboard. And let me tell you, for the first 5 years of my business career, ain't nobody noticing. Nobody was noticing. Nobody cared. Nobody. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everybody's like, oh, wow, this is amazing. It wasn't out of nowhere. It was 100,000 small decisions for 5 years, 10 years that got us to where we are. Does that make sense? And it's just, you just be faithful for long periods of time.
Yeah. I saw a podcast clip of Kevin Hart recently.
Oh, okay.
And he talked about, it's like, oh, you aren't successful yet. Oh, you haven't made it yet. You're a comic and you're not on the big stages yet. Good.
Yeah.
Like, you're probably not ready.
Yeah.
And especially if you look at it from a Christian standpoint, it's like, if you stay faithful and diligent, he will provide. He has promised it. But there's probably a reason why you aren't yet. That's like, you need to prepare. There's the idea of 10,000 hours of mastery.
Yes.
Maybe you haven't hit that number yet in whatever thing you're trying to do.
That's right.
So patience is a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, you had 5 years and then different characters in the Bible, decades, which is insane. Like, you don't even think about it. In the Bible, it's like, 70 years just occurred.
100%.
And then the thing occurred.
100%.
So it's cool to see. And then following your story of the different time frames, like, you were a kid, you started the business with your siblings and the farm stuff, and then you go into college, and then into the business takes all that time to build it out.
That's right.
Time and patience.
Yeah.
Included with all that.
It's huge. It's honestly faithfulness that comes from the Lord. Mm-hmm. Seriously, you get young men who are in their 20s do not want to be faithful. They do not want to be patient. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a little bit of health. There's some healthy elements to that. It's like, no, go build, go grow, go do stuff, right? Yeah. But then it gets hard, and you have to slog through it, right? And if given kind of your own kind of energies and efforts, right? I think I would have just said forget it. But there was something God had put me on this path, and I understood that. And it's there was a LinkedIn post I posted recently. It was like there was a day where I was building my second billboard, and I had been out all day long, and it was 90 degrees out, and I had worked all day. I had gotten to the end of the day, and the billboard was costing me 2 or 3 times more than it should have. And this billboard, I get ready to put the billboard vinyl on, and it didn't fit. Okay. And 3/4 through the day, I'd been dating this girl, and she we'd broken up. She'd gone on a mission trip or whatever. And this was a month later. She was like 2 or 3 months later, probably, she got engaged. And it was I found out that day. And it was just this weird element where I was 20 years old and, it was like hot, exhausted, no money. And this girl I'd been dated just got engaged, like 2 or 3 months after we'd been dating. It was just this weird combination of things. And my dad comes up to the billboard and he looks at the billboard and he's like, how in the world are you ever going to get this billboard full? And I just fell apart. I mean, it was the worst day of my life. And one of the worst days of my life. And it was everything in life was kind of like falling apart. And my dad had no idea what to do because he didn't know. I mean, it wasn't his fault. It just, it happened.
It happened.
And I remember, and I just remember thinking, I'm like, man, I should quit. I should quit and go do something because this is too hard. I'm a year in. I have 1.5 billboards. And I just remember thinking, it was the Great Recession, so there was no jobs. McDonald's wouldn't hire anybody. And I just remember thinking, like, there's nowhere else to go. And there's nowhere else to go. And I would love to tell you guys, like, oh yeah, I am the paragon of faithfulness. Like, I am the one who is so faithful. Sometimes God gives you the strength to be faithful. And sometimes God, and I hope all of you young men, like, that's what he does. Like, God has given you strength and faith to be able to continue on. For me, literally, God put me in a place where I couldn't leave. Like, I had no other choice. This was it, right?
Yeah.
There's no other options. And that's the beauty of God. That God is a God who, like, provides, and sometimes that means he gives you faithfulness and strength, and sometimes that means he gives you success, and sometimes it means he gives you zero other options, which is what happened in my case. And I'm so grateful he did, because I mean, here we are. You guys are in my company's headquarters. It is a 100-year-old church in right next towards where the Atlas guys live. It was the old parsonage, and none of this would have been possible. None of the things we've built and done would have been possible without God arranging it back then. Without God kind of forcing the hand of and pushing me into a place where I had no other choice.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that now. But that took me 5 years plus to be able to get to this place.
Because that LinkedIn post, you said that was in 2010. So now it's 14 years later.
Oh yeah, 14 years.
Which is
10 years
crazy.
later.
Yeah.
Gosh, man, time flies. But yeah, that's crazy.
No, today. So with Forge, I haven't known much about Forge. I haven't looked into it too much. I know Jenna, she's fairly involved with it. Your sister, correct?
Yeah.
What inspired you to start Forge? Because I've heard about Atlas. What kind of got that moving and trying to make a leadership group like that?
So I was at Cedarville for 2 semesters, and by the time I was done with my 2 semesters, I was frankly so discouraged. I was like, is this business really for me? Do I really want to do business? I mean, this is what I always want to do. When I was at Cedarville, I was just like, I just don't know anymore. My other interest was politics. So I was like, fine, I'll quit business and I'll go to DC and I'll live in DC and I'll work for one of the conservative nonprofits and get to spend time there. And so that's what I did. Moved to DC, and I was there and I was like, man, I do like politics, but I was probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months into the whole ordeal, and I was like, I'm so fed up with this. I don't want to do politics. I really want to be in business. So I flipped back and I started looking for businesses to buy. And I started my company, ran my company for 2 or 3 years. Then all of a sudden, I felt like God was saying, Justin, like, I want you back in politics. I mean, like, I truly and really, like, I'm not super charismatic or anything, but there was this element of like this nudge, this kind of desire in my heart to be like, maybe I should get back into politics a little bit. And I was like, but I have no idea. So I just started praying about it. And this was like in December. So I prayed about it, and it was legitimately 2 weeks later. My old high school pastor, one of my old pastors from my church, calls me and goes, hey, I'm thinking about running for state representative. And I'm doing it because of the heartbeat bill. And would you be interested in helping run? He knew I was interested in politics. And I was like, and it was just like, and I just sat there and I'm like, well, I don't have any choice now. I literally, like, I'd prayed about it and like, this was it. So started running that campaign, and I met Adam Josephic. And Adam and I were, Adam was in college at that point, and I was working on my business, and him and I helped on that campaign, and we got to be very good friends. And we started looking around, and we're like, look, bud, like, I'm going to be in politics. And I was like, I am too. And it was this beautiful story. Have you guys ever watched the movie, like William Wilberforce. It's a William Wilberforce movie. It's about William Wilberforce and the slave trade and that sort of thing. Amazing Grace, I think it is. And there's this conversation in it where William Pitt and him have this conversation where they're like, look, you and I, everyone else, will fall apart and everything else, but you and I will be friends, right? You and I will do this together, so that if any of our heads become too big, or we get too arrogant or whatever else, you're going to be there to tell me so, right? And it's like, we're going to do this as a team, and we both looked at each other and said that. It's like, we're going to do this together. And so, we started doing politics. We ran other campaigns. Adam got a job, and for a nonprofit that was in the political space, and then once we were in it for a while, we realized, we're like, look, nothing's going to change unless there's more of us.
Yeah.
And there was very few young people involved, and they either became corrupted by the political party, or they got disillusioned and left. That's what happened. Like, we got to find something. And so through a bunch of different series, Adam was like, we should start a training program and create an on ramp into the conservative movement via Forge, or via this program we're going to create called Forge. And so that's what we did. I mean, we were 25 years old when we created the program. Okay. Yeah. It's going on 10 years now. And when we started, we had no money, and we had no place to have it, and we knew no students. So it was literally I had a bunch of friends, because I was running college ministry, right?
Yeah.
I was doing a college ministry, and I went to my college ministry, and it was a week-long program. That's all it was. It was a week-long conference. It was going to be in Columbus. We're going to go to the State House, all this kind of stuff. But speakers came in from all over the place, and I looked at there was 30 people who came. So they ended up coming, which was a lot. Trust me, it's hard to get those people. But probably 5 to 10 of them, I was like, hey, you need to come. And Adam makes the joke. He's like, I would ask people at the conference how they heard about it and why they decided to come. And they would be like, Justin said I had to. And that was pretty accurate. I was like, we need people, and I'm calling in my chips. I need you to come to this, otherwise it's going to fail. And so that's how it was born. And then, it's grown over the years. We have multiple summits, and it's a year-long program now. So the students will be in Columbus or Nashville for a week, and then they'll go to DC and then to Israel. And so it's the year-long program, and there's mentorship involved, and it is an on-ramp into the conservative movement. So the people that have gone through the program now work for senators and congressmen, and work for former presidents, and their state representatives now. And Jenna got involved because we were desperate to have someone help organize it. And at that time, she was 18, 19 years old. And she's like, listen to me. I will come and help. I will be involved. I will come and help serve coffee and stuff, but I will never be involved in politics. Her exact words. 4 or 5, 6 years later of just being around it. And she's like, she comes to me one day. She's like, I think I'm going to run for state representative. And I'm like, awesome. And she used that knowledge she'd gained from there, the network she had gained from being head of sales for Huntington, because she knew everybody in the community, right? And then resources from that to be able to run. So she used these different platforms to be able to run, and then she won. And since then she's been state representative. And so God uses these different things to help create. And she worked like a dog, and she used the resources she had, and she won. And so now she's going to use those resources for other things.
Yeah. I mean, incredible proponent for pro-life 100%. Work. She was just at a Cedarville event, I think even yesterday.
100%.
And I've seen her with the clips that she has. She is just fighting.
100%. And you know what the beautiful part is? So Adam and I got involved in politics because of the heartbeat bill.
Okay.
Way back in the day when our friend, and then Jenna got a vote on it and pass it, which is amazing. It's just full circle thing.
Wow.
So it took years, but the fighting continues. And it's unfortunate that Ohio has passed the constitutional amendment to legalize abortion. That is a travesty.
Yeah.
It is a travesty. It's terrible. I mean, it is one of the greatest sins of our day. Greatest travesty of our day. And unfortunately, Ohio passed it, and we battle on.
Yeah.
We battle on, and God doesn't call us to results. He calls us to faithfulness, but he calls us to be smart. So that's what we'll do. We'll continue to battle on. So that's
amazing. And I gave you a few things when coming here. She was the one that told me what you liked.
Oh,
the Sour Patch and the tea.
I love it. Sour Patch Kids.
I was on Instagram. I was like, Jenna, Justin's having me over. I'm so excited. What is he like? And she said he likes tea, Sour Patch Kids, and I think he likes to burn candles.
It's amazing. Wow.
And I was
you
like,
nailed
I
it.
can't smell super well from COVID. Like from COVID a while back, it like
Wow.
altered my smell. So I
Wow.
was like, probably not going the candle route.
Okay.
But
Well,
Sour Patch.
you did very, very good
Yeah.
with the tea, and I wondered, I'm like, how does he know?
yeah, so shout out to her. So that
Shanna.
was-
She's giving away all my secrets. My other secret is I love the nerd clusters now.
the nerd clusters. My siblings love those things. They were
Guys,
shoveling them at me
The
during
nerd
spring break.
clusters are the new Sour Patch Kids. I'll eat both, but yeah, the nerd clusters amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Awesome. Well, it's 9:24, guys. We have class tomorrow, and it's
Yeah.
been like an hour.
You got an hour drive
So,
home,
Yeah,
so
we have an
yeah.
hour drive home. So I want to thank you so much for having us here,
Thank you for having me.
just for everything, and just for the
It
conversation.
was wonderful to be on your
It
guys'
was
show.
an awesome
Thank you so
time,
much.
All right, guys, if you made it here, just thank you so much for watching. I hope you gained some insight. Please like and subscribe. Go follow Justin and all the things he's doing, and Isaac. They'll all be down in the description. Thank you so much. God bless. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Oh yeah.
Great show. Well done. You're a very good interviewer.